Alright, so we got the game kind of working here. Let's fix a couple of things and add a couple of things, and then we'll kind of carry on. So let's play, and I want you to see. Good. Okay, so you can see we got this going on. But right now, the way I have it set up is that we just have the camera currently parented to the player, and it sort of works, but it's a little bit jarring. It doesn't allow us a lot of control and stuff. So we're going to do this a little bit differently. Get the camera, just click and drag it off so it's not part of the scene anymore. Alright, so that's good. And then what we're going to do is we are going to use the Cinemachine. Now, that might not be on by default, so what you got to do is go to Window, Package Manager, wait for them all to load, plop, plop, wait for them all to load still. Okay. And then you want, where are you at? I guess it's alphabetical. Cinemachine. Boop. And install. And it will install it because you told it. And come on. It's taking a while. Awkwardly taking a while. There it goes. Come on. So it will install them, usually a little bit quicker than this. It's kind of slow, I think. This video is just going to be importing the script. I should have paused it. As I pause it, it's going to be done. Okay, so it's installed. It took a little bit longer than what it was taking there. Good. So now we have Cinemachine. Just exit out of this, and you'll see, whoop, now we have this other thing called the Cinemachine. What we'll do is go ahead and create a 2D camera, because we're doing a 2D game. There you go, VCMV cam or whatever. And voila. Now you're going to see automatically like, oh no, all my stuff is gone. Because basically what it does is, the camera here, the main camera, is still the main camera, but what it's going to do is that it snaps basically to this. This is more or less going to control the camera. So whatever you do with this, camera is going to follow. Okay, so that's the idea. This itself is not a camera. So what we need to do is we need to tell it to follow something. And in this case, it's going to be my player. So click and drag follow onto this. Boop, and there you go. Now, you might need to change the, not the priority here. You might need to change some other things here, but let's see. Yeah, we'll leave that alone. Might want to change some things here. So for instance, so screen X and Y. So you might want to go up a little bit, right? So that way we're up, because we don't need to see below us as much as we want to see above us. There's also, let's see, camera distance. Right now it's at 10, so maybe make it closer, let's say 5. And then which doesn't really seem to do all that much. Oh, I guess it wouldn't really matter. Anyway, so that's fine. X, Y, and Z dampening. It's probably okay. So now if we hit play, you'll see that it will follow our player, but notice that it settles. Right? So that looks a little bit better. Yeah, that's good. Not that one. Where are you? Screen X. Yeah, so we probably want it to be a little bit forward too. Actually, I gotta pause that or stop it. Sorry, stop. And let's do like 0.33. That's good. Okay, so that way this is at the 1/3 mark. Okay, so that's probably good. But now you're gonna see it's gonna make things a little bit softer. Try playing around with these and see what they do. You'll see that they work pretty good. But that's definitely better than what we had before. Okay, so that fixes sort of our camera problem a little bit. Yay. Alright, so I'm okay with that. Now what we're going to do is, let's go ahead and save this. Now what we're going to do is this. I want to add another thing to this. So you might want to have parallax, and what I mean by that is this. So I'm just going to make something real crappy. But 2D object, I'm just going to make a sprite, and we'll just make it like a more darker, cooler green. Okay? Right, and let's add, I'm just going to add like this background one. Okay, so it's right there. It doesn't look like much. I'm just going to go ahead and scale it bigger. So let's go to scene, and R for scale. I'm just going to scale a lot bigger, and we'll just we'll pretend like it's a thing back here. Okay, so I'm going to Control D, Command D, and we'll just pretend like these are things in the back. Okay. Now, do I have sorting layers? I don't think I do yet. Okay, so I'm going to add a sorting layer. So we're going to let's add a bunch of sorting layers here, and I'll show you what they do in a second. So we're going to do a new one. We'll call it background. Okay. We'll add another one, and we'll call it midground. And then we'll add another one, and we'll call this foreground. Okay. I'm going to take default and just put it, we'll say, just behind midground, but in the background. Okay. Now I'm going to go to this guy. Can I do all three at the same time? Looks like I can. And we're going to make them all background. Okay. So now they're behind everything else. And basically the way it works is with these is that background, default, midground. So background's all the way to the back, and then default will be in front of that, midground's in front of that, foreground's in front of that. That's particularly important when you're doing 2D stuff because they're all on the same plane, three-dimensionally, right? Well, they're not right now, but if they were all the same plane three-dimensionally, right, there's nothing to say one thing's in front of the other, so it might get confusing. But by doing that, it forces one to read in front of the other. All right, so we're going to put those in the background. Now, if I go to play this, you can see when we play it, right, they're just going to be moving at the same pace, which kind of sucks, right? So I want those to move at a different rate than what's in the foreground. So to do that, it's actually pretty easy. You're going to go to the camera, the main camera, and you can see right now, because we did 2D, it's orthographic. Switch it to perspective. Now, with perspective, it's actually going to give you, well, perspective. So now when you go to play it, you can see things. Now, I need to make a couple adjustments here. You can actually see how they're actually moving faster than what's behind me, which means that they should look like they're in front of me. The reason being is that, again, if I switch, I was in 2D before, so I couldn't tell, but if I go to 3D, you can see this is where the camera is. Notice that these objects are in front of this, even though it's going to take this into account first because these are 2D objects. It's still going to transform based off of being in front of it. So I want to take these three things, I'm going to move them behind my other elements here. Okay, so now they're behind it like that. So you can see to my camera. Now the other thing I want to do is actually take my camera, and I think, can I push this? No, I can't. So I got to go to the camera here, and then, where are you? Right here. Okay, so you see where it says camera distance? So now I'm going to push this back. Let's go to game so I can see what it's doing. I'll take this camera distance and make sure it's how I want it to look. So let's go like this. Now I'll hit play. And let's not click on that so it doesn't look so. But now you're going to see, yay, we have parallax. Okay. So that's pretty good. So you can see there's a little bit. Now, I'll get more or less parallax depending on how far away I push those. So if I push them away farther, it will, they'll look like they're farther behind. And so you can actually layer them. I could put, ones behind these ones, behind other ones. And you can do that with anything. You do it with the grid. Pretty much anything you want to do with. But that way we have a little bit of parallax, adds a little bit of dimension, right? And we can also do the same thing with foreground elements. So you can layer them basically in 3D here. Oops, click on this. In 3D, so that we have basically kind of like Paper Mario, if you ever played that. You can see the different levels. All right, so it's like a 2.5D kind of thing. All right, so that fixes that. So we did the camera there. The other thing I'm going to do, and it's totally not necessary. I'm just going to add a timer onto this, just so that you can see their time passing. It might be useful, might not. Anyway, to that, what we're going to do is we're going to go to scripts, and I'm just going to go ahead and add it to the game controller script because this is just going to be a general controller thing. But even before I do that, I need to make a UI. I'm going to have something that says like time over here, right? Over on the other side, so that way I can see with the timer. So I need to make basically another UI element. So just underneath the canvas here, I'm just going to go ahead and go game object UI, and we'll just add another text. And we're just going to call it timer text. Okay, timer text. And we'll just put time. This doesn't even matter because it's going to get removed anyway. 00. and we'll make it, I don't know what the other one was. We'll make it 36. Let's make height. Let's do it 50. Let's click on this, and we'll hold Alt and Shift, and we're putting the top right. And I'm going to offset this. Let's say 50, other direction, minus 50, and from the top, minus 50. Good. And did I do bold or something? Why does that look so much thicker? Let's do bold. Okay. Good. So there's the time. So now this UI element is how I'm going to access, or I'm gonna change this. Okay. So now I'm gonna go to the game controller, and it went over here. Okay. All right. And right now we have this victory thing. We'll be using that in a second. But I want to use the UI tools. Let's make this bigger, and let's control plus so you can see it a little bit easier. That. Okay. Alright. So we're just going to create a couple of variables in here to hold our time. Okay, so we're going to do a public float. Actually, it doesn't even need to. Does it need to be public? No, it doesn't need to be public. We'll just do private float, and we're just going to call it current time. Okay. So that's just going to hold where the time currently is, and we're also going to do a public text timer text. So what this is going to do is this is actually going to hold not text alignment, text. Okay. Now this is actually going to hold the text element. Now you'll notice that it's underlined red, and the reason being is that it's a UI element, and we don't have that available to us. So we actually have to add up here Unity engine.ui UI like that. Okay. So now we have the UI available to us. All right. So what we need to do now is add our start to this. This one doesn't have a start apparently, unless I took out, taking it out. Okay. So we're going to do void start, and then we're just going to assign the timer text. We're going to find it and then put it into this. Okay. So we're just going to go ahead and do timer text is not equal to, but we're going to assign it the game object dot find, and the object I want to find is going to be called timer text. I think that's what I called it. It's the name here, so timer text. Timer text, that's what we're looking for, and I want specifically on that, I want to get component. The component I want to get is the text component. Like that. That's what we're putting in there specifically, because that's the part I want of that game object is actually the text component. All right, good. So that will allow us to get access to it. And then what we're going to do is we are going to now add, because apparently I took that out too, void update. All right. And we're going to call, and we're going to make a function called timer, and we're going to call it not timer text. I said timer. Cool. All right. Apparently, it's just gonna rename it itself. Time. All right. Neato. Delete timer. Okay, we're gonna call it timer. Like this, and then we're gonna make that actual function. So we'll just call it void. Not gonna return anything, and we're just gonna call it obviously timer. Timer. Great. And okay, and all it's going to do is we're going to say current time. So what time we're currently at is going to be plus equals time dot delta time. Okay, so delta time is whatever time it is from the previous time. So basically, this is just kind of it's the time that is taken from the previous frame to this frame. And that's going to say what the current time is. Now this is, we're running this on every update. So what that means is that updates obviously every rendered frame. So it should give us kind of consistent. Well, it could change actually if we had a lot of luck. But anyway, we're just basically going to change the time. We're going to add to whatever the current time is. So it'll start with 0, right? It'll run through the update. It'll go to the next frame. And however long it took to update the next frame, it's going to add that to whatever it was. And then it'll add the next frame span and the next frame span, so on and so forth. Okay. Now what we're going to do is actually punch that into our timer text. So we'll do, is that right? Timer text? It looks weird. Timer text dot text, because I want the text element of that. And it's going to be, we're going to set it a value of time space or colon space plus, we're going to concatenate a string, and it's going to be, I don't want to just punch in time dot delta time because it'll be like 1.34567. It'll be like just a really long number. So we're going to round it, math f dot round, and we're going to round current time. Okay. So basically it'll take whole numbers instead of doing like just a really long string of things. Alright, and we will save that, and we will go back to Unity and hope that everything is good. I think I already have game controller on here. Yep, okay. So I'm going to hit play, and hopefully, oh, did we get in there? No, okay, play. Play. There it goes. Thought maybe we had an error. And there you go. So now you can see this is counting up. Okay, and I can show you in class if you want how to make it count down. It's the same thing. You just do minus equals. You would basically, what you would do is if you want to count down, you would just go over here, do current time, set it equal to, let's say, 60, right? It's a flow, right? 60f. Okay. Then what you do is you just do this minus equals. Okay. And this will count down. So it'll start at 60, and then, let's see, come on. So if you want, like, they have a time limit. So 60, 59. Okay, so it'll do basically the same thing. All right, so there you go. So that's how you do time, just in case you needed that, you wanted to add sort of time element. That's how you would do it. All right, what was the other thing? Oh, the other thing I want to do was add it to be able to add another level. So currently, I do have it that we can, let's go back to 2D, so it's easier to see. We do have it that this is like door to the next level, okay? But what we need to do is save this. And I already have this saved. If you go to scenes, this is level 1, so I need to make another level. So let's just do file, a new scene, okay? Actually, I'm going to double click on level 1, and I'm going to need a couple of things. I'm going to need the player, and I'm also going to need something we're going to stand on. So we already made this prefabs because we made this enemy patrolling thing. Let's take the player. And just so we don't have to rebuild all the elements, we're going to take it, we're going to drag it into prefab, and that way we can just drag that into the next one. And I'm also going to take my platform, just so I have something also. And then you could take all these different things. So like I have a door, not really too worried about that. I have these lives, we drag lives in there, so now I have that as well. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and do file, new scene. And yeah, we'll save it, fine. Okay. And we need to drag all these things there. So I'm going to go ahead and drag a platform in, and I am going to zero that out, and let's see. Okay, so it's right there. Let's go ahead and pull this down. I just need enough that it works. And let's drag this here, and we'll call that good. Let me just hit play and make sure that this works. Oh, so it's probably going to be looking for things. So what does it say it needs? Player pickup script not set to an instance of an object. What's he looking for? Game controller script. Oh, I don't have a game controller script, so apparently I need that too. So let's do this. Go to project. Let's save this anyways. Control Shift S, and I'm going to save in my scenes folder, and we'll just call this level 02. And I'll go back to my assets, go to scenes, and let's just open up level 1. And I'm just going to go to prefabs, and I'm going to drop in the game controller. So that way that's all set up too. Okay. And we'll save it again. And then I'm just going to go back to assets, scenes, level 2, and then back to this, prefabs, and drop this in there. Let's see if we're missing anything else. Oh, missing some other stuff. Okay. What else are we missing? Needs all these things to work. Upper not set to an instance on a game controller script. Oh, it's looking for the timer text. Yeah, alright, because it's going to need... Alright, so, see, this is why you got to have all these things set up, so, yeah, go ahead, it's fine. So let's just grab this whole canvas here. Oops, I'll drop it in there. Leave that where it's at. Go to Assets, Prefabs, because they're all looking for things, so that's why. So let's save it again. Scenes, level 2, Assets, Prefabs, not game controller, canvas. Okay. Let's see if we're missing something else. And, oh good, no worries. Okay. Yep, so everything's hunky-dory. we got a thing and it's working. All right, so we're gonna say that that's good. We need to hook up obviously the camera and the camera controller and all that other jazz. But for now, we're gonna say that that's good. So we have a level 2. Let's just save that. All right. So let's go back to level 1. Scenes, level 1. Okay. Now, what I need to do is I need to make it that basically right now it happens when we run into the end game thing, that the victory condition that we currently made. All right, I'm just gonna get around these guys. All right, I'm bad at my own game. All right. Okay. Let's kill this guy. God bless it, or he'll kill me. They move too fast. Come on. All right, I didn't even make the jump. There we go. Maybe they'll just kill. Okay. Currently what happens is, you'll notice if I can here, is that if I hit this, it says, you won. That's what it's doing. I want it to load the next level instead. Okay, so we already have something set up for this to work. Because on our, I think it's a player pickup script. The pickup script, if you look at here, what it does is when it hits something that says finish, it's going to run on the game controller script victory. Okay, so basically on that object, where are you? The door here, I have a tag called finish. Okay, so on the player, I have this player pickup object that has a collider on it, and it has that script on it. And so basically, if you look at here, on trigger enter, so when something enters, it's going to look for these various things. So there's score item, which we didn't set up, but there's life. So when I run to a life, it's going to go to the player stat script and add a life, and it's going to destroy the thing it runs into. But when it runs into something that has the finish tag, it's going to go to the game controller script, and it's going to run victory. Okay, so that's where I need to add the loading level, is the game controller script, which we already had that open anyway. Okay, but before we can do that, we have to actually set this up. So you got to go to File, Build Settings. Currently, you can see it has this. So when I go to build this game, what it's going to do is it's actually going to use the sample scene, which is not the scene currently on. Okay, so we want to right-click and remove selection, and we want to add open scenes. So now you see it says scenes level 1. All right, let's close out of that. Let's go ahead and save this. And then let's go to scenes, go to level 2, and go to File, Build Settings, add open scenes. So now level 1, level 2. But you see how it has a 0 and a 1? So this is the index, the scene index, okay? And as you add levels, you know, it goes 0, 1, 2, blah, 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 blah. Which works pretty well. And it doesn't mean it has to go in that order, but that just sort of makes sense. So you want to make your levels in order. But you can be like, go to level 0, go to level 4. You know what I mean? So like, let's say there's like a person, they can go on an elevator, and each level, you know, one of the levels on the floor of a hotel or something, they can skip levels or go down levels and things like that too. But the way we're going to set this up is we're going to set it up that just goes to the next level, each one, just because we're kind of making it linear. All right, so I'm going to go back to level 1, just so we can see it working. All right, so that's very important that this gets set up, this build settings, that you have this set up like that, because otherwise it's not going to work. And I think you can drag, yeah, you can drag them in different orders too. So if you need to click and drag it, you can do that too if you accidentally mess that up. Okay, so close that out. And then what I want you to do is go to the game controller script. So you can just double click on game controller script, but we already have it open over here. And basically right now, it's going to run this victory, which obviously that's not really going to do it for us. Okay, so I want to instead actually have it load the next level. Now, to do that, we're going to use the scene manager, and kind of like UI, it's another thing we have to load in. So in here, go using Unity Engine .scene management. Okay, using Unity Engine .scene management, and then all you're going to do is on victory, we're just going to write one line of code. Okay, and it's just going to be scene manager. That's just like a pre-built class that we can call. And we want to run the load scene. We want to load a scene, and the scene we want to load is this. It's what's going to be inside of here. We want to use a scene manager. Manager dot get active scene. Okay. So what that's going to do is that's going to load a scene. And right now, if we did this, it's just going to load the scene that we currently have, because it just says get active scene, right? So whatever current scene we have. So that's another built-in function. But what I want to do in this is now do dot build index, okay, plus 1, and then semicolon. So what that's going to do is it's basically going to load what the result of this is. So the result of this is the current scene plus 1. So what that means is if I am on this one, it would say, okay, current scene 0 plus 1, so it's going to load this one. But if I'm on this one, it's going to load 2 because it's going to add 1 to it. If I'm on level 45, it's going to load level 46, okay? And that's why we're building it kind of linear way. Now we could specifically have it, instead of doing, you know, scene manager get active scene, you could literally just write the number like 2 or 3 or 4, and that will actually load that level, okay? Anyway, yeah, so that should work. So just save that, go back here, let's close this out, and hit play. And I have got to, okay, why am I not, there we go, it wasn't like moving. God bless it. Man, there we go. I just bank on them killing themselves on me. That's the only way I can watch. Boop, there we go. We loaded the next level. All right. So now we know how to load levels, so we can do multiple levels this way with relative ease. Okay. And that would be good. So there you go. There's a basic camera shuffle there, a timer, and to load a new level. Go team.